I always thought it looked really cool when people have fireplaces in their doll houses that actually light up. I found this today at Michael's. It was damaged. It's made by Make Market, and it's got a little LED light in it, which is really neat. But the fire part is broken off, and as you can see, there's a nice little chip out of the corner, so we're going to have to fix her up. Well, my first step is I want to paint this, and I think in hindsight, now it's done, I probably should have primed it first, but I didn't. So I'm just taking out some black paint, and then I've also got some brown. So that's kind of what I was planning on doing, is I'm going to paint inside of the actual fireplace where the fire would be. I'm going to paint that area in black, and then I'm going to paint the rest of it in brown. So and it's I guess the reason why I didn't want to spray it is because I didn't want this little LED light that's in it to get paint on it, because obviously it's going to be no good if the light doesn't actually work in it. So I'm unfortunately, this kind of plastic resin stuff, it really does not take paint very well. So the first coat is really, really super streaky. I mean, super streaky. So this actually takes at least 3 coats in order to cover it nicely. But I mean, I think the bones are good on this particular little fireplace. Like, I really like all the little details. I think they're quite pretty. But as you can see, while I'm painting the first coat on, do you see how it's going on? It doesn't cover very well. So, 3 coats the tickets if you're going to do this little fireplace up. I would say that this fireplace is not 1/24 scale. It's probably closer to 1/16 scale. So, Lumbee scale, or perfect for the little Trang house. So I wish they would have had one that was in perfect condition. However, this is the only one they had. So it's kind of like this in Canada at Michael's. When you see a miniature, when you're there, pick it up, because chances are when you go back the next time, it's just not going to be there. So even though this little piece was damaged, I did get a little bit of a discount off of it. But even though this little piece was damaged, I knew I wasn't going to find another one. It was the only one there. So I figured, well, I better buy it. Otherwise, I'm not going to get a chance again. So now I'm just starting on the second coat. And second coat isn't even really covering it all that well. But, hey, I mean, at least it's covering a little bit better than the first coat. So I've sped the film up so that you don't have to watch a boring film of me just painting. So I really love the details on this, though. It's very Victorian looking, in my opinion. So it's quite shiny, and there's a lot of glare here, but that's what it looks like after. That's what it looks like after the second coat. So now I'm going after it with the third coat, and that's where I get my coverage. So I think it looks quite good now. It's covered in paint for sure. So still quite wet, but that's okay. So because the top of it was broken, I cut a little piece of wood to stick on top of it to use as a mantle. And I'm just putting a second coat of paint on the piece of wood so that it will match the rest of the fireplace and look like it's part of it. So, I'm quite pleased with the way that looks. That's why I didn't paint the top. So I've got out the E6000, which is pretty good all-purpose glue that's quite hardy. I mean, it really can stick anything. So I'm just putting a little bit of E6000 on it, and it kind of dries like cement. So you really, if you're using this on any kind of miniatures, you got to use it sparingly, or at the very least spread it out well. So I'm just taking the new mantelpiece and I'm sticking it on top. I think this new mantelpiece is good though, because it is a little bit wider than the other one. So you'll be able to put more stuff on top of the mantelpiece. And it does a good job of disguising where that corner was chipped. You can hardly even see it. So I'm quite pleased with the way that looks. So there it is, lit up. As you can see, the paint's still a little bit wet, but that's okay. So I had originally decided that I was going to do the highlighting with the Sharpie pen, but I didn't like how it just wasn't showing up. So I brought out the Testors gold paint, and I'm just kind of painting in all of the little highlights here. So I really like the way that kind of gives it a nice regal look, very Victorian. So I mean, I love those Fireplace. If you ever go on online and look up antique dollhouse fireplaces that are made out of tin, oh my good heavens, they're just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. But they're usually in the $150 to $250 American price, which is like ridiculously expensive, and there's no way in the world I would ever spend that kind of money on just one little fireplace for a dollhouse. So I'm just re-gluing that little piece inside with the E6000, and that's what she looks like lit up. Not too bad, hey? So it ended up all in it cost me $8 for this little fireplace, which I think is pretty reasonable. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to help support my channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. Just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Lisa Thanks for watching my video today. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that like button and tell your friends about my channel. I'm getting closer and closer to that 1,000 target.